Never mistake my silence for surrender. It is not retreat, it is reload. My dear chosen ones, let that sink in. Because right now, those who once thought they could play with your mind, tug at your emotions, and control your reactions are starting to learn a brutal truth. The quiet one is never to be underestimated. You've been too quiet lately, and in that silence, something dangerous has been born. Not dangerous to you, dangerous to them. You see, the world has been conditioned to believe that noise equals power. The loudest voice must be the strongest. The most dramatic reaction must be the most dominant. That's what manipulators, abusers, and self-proclaimed leaders thrive on. They thrive on chaos, on volume, on spectacle. But what happens when the one they used to bait into arguments suddenly goes still? What happens when the one they relied on to react, to explain, to defend, to pour out energy into their fire, refuses to do so anymore? The answer is simple. They panic, they spiral, they realize they've lost their hold. Silence, my chosen ones, is not the absence of power. It is the perfection of it. It is the calm before lightning splits the sky. It is the hunter crouching in the tall grass while the prey, foolish and arrogant, believes the forest is safe. And you, yes you, have chosen to master this art. That's why you're here. That's why this message has found you. Because you are not just surviving anymore. You are moving into a space where silence itself becomes your shield, your weapon, and your strategy. Think of it this way: when you used to argue back, when you used to explain yourself, when you used to match their noise with your own, what did they do? They twisted it, they mocked it, they drained you with it. But the moment you took that away, the battlefield collapsed. They're left swinging at shadows, shadow boxing with ghosts of the old you, and every swing they take only reminds them that the opponent they thought they knew no longer exists. Before we move forward, chosen ones, I need to say this. If this message is striking a chord in you, if you feel the power of silence and strength rising inside, then support us by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. That simple action fuels us to keep creating and delivering more of this kind of raw, life-changing, and energy-packed content straight to you. Every like, every subscription, every share tells us that this movement matters and that we are building a community of people who refuse to be broken. Stay with us, because what's coming next will push your strength to an even higher level. Chosen ones, some of you might be asking yourself right now, but won't my silence make me look weak? Won't people think I've lost? Let me answer you clearly. No. Your silence is not weakness. Weakness is giving them your energy just to prove you still exist. Weakness is handing them your reactions on a silver platter so they can keep feeling important. Strength is cutting off the supply. Strength is looking them in the eye without a word and letting the weight of their own actions echo louder than anything you could say. Remember this. Lions don't explain themselves to hyenas. Storms don't apologize to raindrops. And the ocean doesn't justify its waves to the sand it erases. You are not obligated to make your power palatable for those who cannot handle it. You are chosen. Chosen because you've endured. Chosen because you've survived. Chosen because you've risen in silence when they expected you to break in noise. And oh, how your quiet unsettles them. They thought you'd always be predictable. They had a script in their hands with your lines memorized. Push this button. Get this reaction. Spread this rumor. Watch them defend themselves. Withdraw affection. See them chase. That was their game. And for a while, maybe you played it. But now, you've torn up the script. You've walked off their stage. You've refused to audition for a role they wrote for you. And without your performance, their little play falls apart. The idiom is true. Still waters run deep. And your stillness right now runs so deep, it terrifies them. Because what they don't know is what keeps them awake at night. They don't know if you're planning a comeback. They don't know if you're building something behind closed doors. They don't know if your silence means indifference or preparation. And in that not knowing, their mind creates monsters. Their curiosity turns into obsession. Their obsession becomes desperation. And their desperation exposes everything they tried so hard to hide. Understand this, chosen ones. Silence forces truth to the surface. It's a mirror they cannot escape. With no words from you to twist, no reactions from you to feed on, all they have left is themselves. Their own guilt, their own emptiness, their own irrelevance. And believe me, that is the loudest sound they'll ever hear. The echo of their own hollowness bouncing back at them while your quiet stands unshaken. That's why I say again, never mistake silence for surrender. Yours is not the silence of defeat. Yours is the silence of strategy. Yours is the silence of someone who has finally realized their energy is sacred and not everyone is worthy of it. Yours is the silence that builds mountains, that crafts futures, that plants seeds no enemy can uproot. You've been too quiet lately, chosen ones, and that quiet has become their nightmare. Because the silence they thought meant retreat now speaks of something else entirely. Evolution, growth, power, and the unshakable truth that you are not to be messed with. So let them wonder, let them guess, let them whisper in circles, trying to piece together what your stillness means. While they exhaust themselves in speculation, you rise in silence. You build in silence. You conquer in silence. And one day, when the results of that silence roar into existence, they'll understand too late that they were never in control. You are, and you always were. And here's the truth. Chosen ones, your silence has already been shaking the ground beneath those who once thought they could control you. Whether this is your first time with us or you've been walking this path for a while, your presence here is proof that you're not ordinary. Ordinary people can't handle this message, but you can, because you've been too quiet lately, and now they're realizing you're not to be messed with. So show your strength. Smash that like button, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments if you know this silence is the very foundation of your transformation. And if you want to take it even further, show your support with a super thanks. It helps us keep building this movement for the chosen ones. Now, let's dive into it step by step. And believe me, if you are truly chosen, you'll recognize every single sign I'm about to share. Number 1. Silence shatters. Their illusion of control. When you left, their stage collapsed beneath them. Take away the audience, and even the loudest actor becomes just another voice echoing in an empty room. My dear chosen ones, let me tell you something they will never admit out loud. The only reason they ever felt powerful was because you were there to witness it. You were their mirror, their audience, their unwilling stagehand holding up the spotlight. Every smirk they gave, every jab they threw, every manipulative word they spun, it only mattered because you were standing in the room to react to it. Without you, without your presence to validate their little performance, their so-called power collapses like a house built on sand. And that is exactly what has happened lately. You've been too quiet, too distant, too unavailable for them to script their usual game. And now they're realizing something brutal. Your silence has stolen their stage. You see, chosen ones, control is never about raw strength. Control is about access. It's about the ability to reach into someone's life, press the right buttons, and pull the right strings. That's what manipulators thrive on. They rely on proximity. They need to know how you breathe, how you react, what makes you flinch. That's how they maintain their illusion of dominance. But what happens when you step out of reach? When they can no longer touch your emotions, read your expressions, or feed on your reactions? The entire illusion shatters. And that's the part that's driving them crazy. Because for a long time, they thought they knew you better than you knew yourself. They thought they had the manual to your soul, the secret code to your behavior. Push here, they'll argue. Pull here, they'll explain. Stay silent for a day, and you'll come running to fix it. That was their blueprint. That was their power. But now, with you gone quiet, their blueprint is useless. Their playbook has turned into nothing but scribbles on paper. Some of you may be wondering right now, but won't my silence make them think I've given up? Won't they feel like they've won if I don't show up? Listen closely. Number. Your absence doesn't tell them they've won. It forces them to confront a truth they've been running from. They were never in control in the first place. You allowed them access. You permitted their influence. You chose to stand on their stage, whether out of love, obligation, or sheer habit. But the moment you chose to walk off that stage, you pulled the curtain down on their entire act. Without you, they have no control. Without you, they have no show. Imagine a puppeteer with no strings to pull. That's what they are now, flailing, pointing, blaming. But with no strings attached to you anymore, their hands are empty. And empty hands, my chosen ones, reveal the truth they've hidden for so long. Their power was borrowed. Borrowed from your attention, borrowed from your willingness to engage, borrowed from your choice to stand there and play along. That's why your quiet feels like thunder to them, because it's not just silence, it's absence. And absence is the one thing they can't manipulate. They can twist your words, they can mock your emotions, they can argue with your presence. But they can't twist nothing. They can't argue with silence. They can't win against a battle you never step into. And here's the part that cuts them the deepest. Your absence has left them face to face with themselves. With no one else to blame, no one else to distract them, no one else to manipulate, they're forced to sit in their own company. And trust me, for people like that, their own company is the scariest place on earth. Because now, the wall you left behind isn't blank anymore. It's a mirror. A mirror reflecting their own insecurities, their own weaknesses, their own emptiness, and they hate it. They hate it because for the first time, they can't use you as a shield from their own truth. Chosen ones, understand the power in this. By pulling away, by going quiet, you didn't just walk off their stage, you burned it down. You showed them that the so-called power they flaunted was never real. It only existed because you stood there and allowed it. And now, with you gone, their illusion of control has collapsed into dust. This is why they feel unsettled every time they think about your silence. It's not just that you're quiet. It's that they know deep down they no longer have access. And once access is gone, control is gone forever. That's the lesson you've forced them to face, whether they're ready or not. So remember this, chosen ones, silence is not surrender. Silence is the demolition of their stage, the collapse of their illusions, the unveiling of their emptiness. You haven't lost anything by walking away. They have. And the more they realize it, the more they'll feel that sinking dread, the knowledge that they will never again hold the power they once thought they had over you. Number 2, cutting off their ego's lifeline. Starves them. You cut off their ego's lifeline and left them gasping for air. Take away the applause, and suddenly the performer realizes the stage was never theirs to begin with. My dear chosen ones, let's talk about the kind of people who survive only when someone else's energy feeds them. The kind who can't breathe without attention, can't feel alive without reactions, can't even validate their own existence without dragging you into their storm. These are the energy-hungry ones, the ones who built their sense of significance not from who they are, but from how much of you they could consume. And here's the brutal truth. They thrived because you once gave them access. Every time you reacted, they drank from your energy. Whether it was your care, your concern, your patience, your frustration, even your anger, it didn't matter. To them, it was all fuel. If you showed love, they felt validated. If you got angry, they felt powerful because they could shift your emotions. Even your exhaustion kept them alive because it proved they could still touch you, still influence you, still make you bend in their direction. You were their lifeline, chosen one. Without your energy, their ego shrivels. But something changed. You stopped feeding them. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped defending your choices. You stopped making sure they knew how you felt. You pulled the plug on the very oxygen mask they'd been using to breathe. And that wasn't an accident. That was a choice. A deliberate, calculated decision to reclaim your energy. And that single choice shook their entire world. Now they're scrambling, because without you pouring into them, they're confronted with something they've been avoiding for years, the emptiness inside. They've been leaning on your reactions to prove they mattered. They used your frustration as proof they still held space in your life. They used your compassion as proof they were still worthy of attention. But the day you went quiet, the day you cut off the supply, that illusion cracked wide open. Think about it this way. A parasite can't live without a host. That's what your silence has exposed. They weren't thriving on their own strength. They were surviving off your energy. And now that you've withdrawn, they're being forced to see themselves without your validation. And it terrifies them, because deep down, they don't know how to create that significance for themselves. Chosen ones, some of you might be wondering, won't they just move on and find someone else to feed on? Won't they replace me with another source of validation? Maybe they'll try, but here's the twist. They'll never find another you. Because your energy, your attention, your presence was unique. What you gave them, even in conflict, even in frustration, carried a weight they can't replicate. You weren't just anyone, you were the chosen one they relied on most. And now, without that lifeline, they feel the sharp edge of withdrawal. That's why you'll notice them testing boundaries. They'll send subtle jabs, they'll stir up old arguments, they'll toss bait into the air hoping you'll bite. But don't mistake it for genuine desire to reconnect. It's desperation. They're not seeking love or truth. They're seeking the hit of significance your reaction gives them. They're addicts, and your attention was their drug. And when you refuse to engage, they're left trembling, empty-handed, face-to-face with their own hollowness. This is where the power shift happens, chosen ones. Because silence isn't just the absence of words, it's exposure. It exposes how much they depended on you. It exposes the weakness behind their mask of control. It exposes the ugly truth that the power they thought they had was never real. It was only ever borrowed from your willingness to engage. And now that you've cut the cord, they can't unsee it. They can't trick themselves into believing they're still in control. They can't lean on your frustration as proof of importance. They can't siphon validation from your explanations. They're stuck, choking on the reality that your energy was never theirs to own. Let me say this clearly, chosen ones, your energy is not a public resource. It's not a free fountain anyone can drink from whenever they feel small. It's sacred, it's reserved. And when you stopped feeding their ego, you reminded them of that fact in the most brutal way possible. You reminded them that access to you is not a right, it's a privilege. And privileges, once revoked, cannot be demanded back. So while they sit there, restless, trying to provoke, trying to spark even the smallest reaction, remember this. Their desperation is not your problem. Their emptiness is not your burden. Their loss of validation is not your responsibility. You've given them enough. More than enough. And now your silence is teaching them the hardest lesson they'll ever learn, that you were never their supply to drain, you were a force they should have respected. This is why your quiet is so dangerous, because it isn't passive, it's not weakness, it's not avoidance, it's choice, It's dominance. It's the chosen one finally realizing that silence starves parasites faster than confrontation ever could. And once the supply is gone, there's no coming back. So let them starve. Let them sit with their emptiness. Let them feel the withdrawal of your energy. Because the moment you decided to stop feeding their ego, you reminded them, and yourself, that you are not to be messed with. Number 3. Your quiet turns into a mirror of their guilt. Your stillness turns their guilt into a roaring storm. Silence doesn't erase guilt. It amplifies it until the echoes break the guilty from the inside out. Chosen ones, listen carefully. When you stopped responding, you did more than withhold words. You took away the very shield they used to protect themselves from the truth. For so long, your voice was their cover. Every argument you entered, every explanation you gave, every defense you offered, it all became noise they could hide behind. As long as you kept speaking, they had something to twist, to deflect, to point at. They could say, "See, look how dramatic they are, look how defensive, look how angry." Your words became the smokescreen that allowed them to dodge the mirror staring them in the face. But now you've been too quiet, and that silence is the most dangerous sound they've ever heard. Because without your voice in the mix, without the distraction of your energy filling the air, all that's left is the raw, unfiltered truth. And the truth is merciless. It doesn't fade when the room goes silent. It grows louder. The choices they made, the lies they told, the way they treated you, they thought those memories would dissolve with time, but instead, in your absence, those memories have become like ghosts. They replay over and over in their minds, haunting them in the moments they least expect. Your stillness has created the perfect environment for their guilt to scream at them, and the more they try to bury it, the more it claws its way back to the surface. You see, chosen ones, guilt doesn't always arrive in obvious ways. Sometimes it doesn't look like guilt at all. Sometimes it shows up as irritation. They snap at you, not because you've done something wrong, but because your silence denies them the distraction they crave. Other times it looks like projection. They start telling others that you're the problem, that you're cold, that you've changed, that you've abandoned them. Why? Because it's easier to invent a story about you than to admit the truth about themselves. But no matter what mask guilt wears, it's still guilt. And underneath every performance they put on, the truth is gnawing at them. Your absence is directly tied to their actions. And here's what unsettles them the most. You're not even trying to make them feel guilty. You're not sending messages demanding apologies. You're not chasing them for closure. You're not fighting to prove your innocence or your worth. You've left them with nothing to argue against, and that's the part they can't stand. Because when someone says nothing, when someone refuses to play, when someone withdraws completely, there's no deflection left. They can't say you're exaggerating. They can't say you're dramatic. They can't say you're starting trouble. All they're left with is the undeniable reality that their behavior drove you into silence. And facing that truth cuts far deeper than any words you could have ever said. Some of you, my chosen ones, may be asking, but won't they just move on? Won't they just forget? Not this time. Because silence doesn't give closure. It creates unfinished business. And unfinished business is heavy. It lingers. It festers. Every time they remember you're quiet, they're reminded of what they did to cause it. And it doesn't fade. In fact, it grows heavier with time, because the longer you remain silent, the clearer it becomes that this isn't temporary. This isn't a mood swing. This isn't you sulking. This is you choosing peace over chaos. And that choice forces them to live with the knowledge that they broke something they can't fix. Your stillness is a mirror, chosen ones, and that mirror doesn't show them who they pretended to be. It shows them who they really are. That's why they avoid it, why they lash out, why they scramble to shift blame, because staring at themselves without your voice to drown out the truth is unbearable, and yet they can't escape it. No matter how many excuses they invent, no matter how many people they try to sway, when the noise dies down at night and it's just them and their thoughts, your silence is waiting. Your absence presses against them like a weight they can't shrug off. And here's the part that truly breaks them. The guilt isn't being handed to them by you. It's not punishment you've delivered. It's not revenge you've orchestrated. The guilt they feel is entirely their own. It's born from within, self-inflicted and inescapable. You've become untouchable because you don't even need to speak to reveal who they are. Their own mind does the work for you. Chosen ones, this is the power of silence. It's not passive, it's not weakness, it's psychological warfare without you lifting a finger. Because while you are moving forward, while you are building, while you are reclaiming your peace, they are stuck replaying their mistakes like a broken record. And every replay makes the guilt sharper, the regret deeper, the realization heavier. So remember this. Your stillness is not emptiness. It is exposure. It is the weapon they never saw coming. It forces accountability without you demanding it. It delivers justice without you lifting a hand. And it ensures that the weight they feel isn't yours to carry. It's theirs, forever. Number 4, you've shifted frequencies beyond their reach. You've shifted frequencies and they can't tune in anymore. You cannot drag an eagle into the mud. The higher it soars, the smaller the noise of the ground becomes. My dear chosen ones, this truth cuts deep, and it is beginning to dawn on those who once thrived on chaos. You no longer live on their frequency. They used to operate like storm chasers, feeding on every crack of thunder, every flash of lightning, every reaction you gave them. That was their comfort zone. Conflict, confusion, and disorder. They knew how to bait you, how to poke until you snapped, how to stir up just enough chaos to watch you scramble. For them, turmoil was survival. They lived in it. They breathed in it. And they thought you would always remain there with them. But not anymore. Lately, your silence has not only unsettled them, it has proven something far more terrifying. You've shifted into a frequency they cannot reach. They keep trying to drag you into their storm, but your energy has become untouchable. They throw noise, and you respond with stillness. They throw fire, and you drown it with calm. They scream for attention, and you stay centered, unmoved, and unshaken. And here's the part they can't stand. Their whole playbook has been disrupted. Their entire strategy depended on your predictability. They counted on your reactions because those reactions were the fuel they needed to keep playing their games. They wanted to push your buttons, to pull the strings, to see you dance to their rhythm. But silence, calm, calculation, that wasn't in their manual. That wasn't something they prepared for. And now it's eating them alive. Chosen ones, I know what might be crossing your mind. But doesn't ignoring them make me look like I don't care? Doesn't staying calm give them the impression they've won? Let me tell you this with certainty. No, it doesn't. Staying silent, staying still, staying centered, that is not weakness. That is precision. That is control. And control is the one thing they can never have over you again. Think about it like this. Their entire approach is like throwing sparks. Sparks are small, quick, dramatic, but meaningless unless they land on something flammable. For a long time, you were the dry grass. They could spark you, and instantly you'd light up, react, argue, defend, or fight back. But now their sparks fall into an ocean. They hiss, they vanish, and they leave nothing behind but smoke. That's what unsettles them. That's what makes them restless. Their power doesn't work on you anymore, and without that, they're forced to face the reality. They were never powerful at all. And here's the kicker, they can't read you anymore. People who thrive on manipulation need predictability. They need to know how you'll respond, when you'll crack, where your weak spots are. But you've changed the entire game without announcing it. You no longer react, you calculate, and calculation terrifies them, because calculation means you're not just surviving their attacks, you're outmaneuvering them. It means you're not on the defensive anymore, you're already planning 5 steps ahead. This is the part, chosen ones, where you truly rise above. Because operating on a new frequency doesn't just mean you ignore them. It means their words, their insults, their gossip, their outbursts. They simply don't penetrate anymore. They can scream, but you don't hear it the same way. They can spread lies, but you don't waste energy defending them. They can try to pull you into their whirlwind, but you've already climbed above the storm. You're soaring at an altitude they cannot survive in. And the silence you now carry isn't emptiness. It's discipline. It's the discipline of someone who has mastered themselves, who refuses to throw away energy on battles that can't be won because those battles were never worth fighting in the first place. That kind of discipline is rare, chosen ones. It's the difference between someone still reacting to every attack and someone who has already won the war without ever needing to raise their voice. Now imagine what that does to them. Picture it. They're swinging wildly, throwing emotional punches, tossing accusations, setting traps. But none of it lands. None of it touches you. It's like shadow boxing against an opponent who isn't even in the same room. That's when the dread creeps in. That's when they realize the truth. They're fighting a ghost. They're fighting the old version of you, and that version no longer exists. And let me make this clear. This isn't about arrogance. This isn't about pretending you're better than anyone. It's about stepping into the truth that your energy is sacred, your peace is priceless, and your silence is powerful. You're not playing defense anymore. You're not explaining, defending, or justifying. You're not letting their storms dictate your skies. You're the strategist now. And strategists don't get caught in chaos. They control the end game. Chosen ones, the title says it all. You've been too quiet lately, and now they're realizing you're not to be messed with, because your silence has shifted you into a frequency beyond their reach, a place where their noise no longer matters, and their control no longer exists. And the harder they try to drag you back, the clearer it becomes. You've already moved on. You've already elevated. You've already won. Number 5, you changed the battlefield and left them powerless. You flipped the board and left them playing checkers alone. When they thought they were ready for war, you changed the battlefield and suddenly their weapons looked like toys. My dear chosen ones, this is where your silence has turned into a strike they never saw coming. For years, they believed they could dictate the terms of every battle. They thought they could drag you onto their turf, force you to play by their rules, and corner you in a game they've been rehearsing their whole life. They were confident because they knew their stage well: manipulation, gossip, twisted words, emotional baiting. This was their arena, their home court. They had it polished, prepared, and primed for you. They waited for the moment they could pull you in, certain that if a fight ever broke out, you would step right into the trap they had spent years building. But here's the sting, chosen ones. You never showed up. You didn't even give them the satisfaction of stepping onto the ground they controlled. Instead, without warning, you took the entire battle somewhere else. And in doing so, you stripped them of everything: their footing, their strategies, their audience. It's like they spent years mastering the art of playing chess, memorizing every move, every trick, every sacrifice, and right when they thought they had you cornered on the board, you flipped the whole thing upside down and walked away to start a different game entirely. And now look at them, swinging at air, talking to ghosts, shadow boxing against an opponent who isn't even in the room anymore. That's the cruelty of it, chosen ones. You didn't just walk away, You redefined the entire arena, and you did it so suddenly that they never had time to adapt. One day, they thought they had control over you. The next, they realized the fight they were preparing for doesn't even exist anymore, and you know why that cuts them so deeply. Because it shows them the truth. The battle was never about proving who was stronger. It was about whether or not you'd allow yourself to be dragged into the mud. And now you've made it clear you're not wrestling pigs in the dirt anymore. You've risen above it. You're fighting on higher ground, and they can't follow you there. Chosen ones, I know the question that lingers in your mind, but won't they think I backed down? Won't they twist my silence into weakness? Let me tell you this, walking away from a rigged game is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength. Imagine someone challenging you to a fight in quicksand. They know that if you step in, you'll sink. That's why they keep calling you there. But the strongest move you can ever make is to stand on solid ground and refuse to enter. You don't win by sinking with them. You win by realizing the fight itself is beneath you. And that's exactly what you've done. You saw that victory in their space wasn't a real victory. If you won the argument, they'd say you overreacted. If you stayed calm, they'd say you didn't care. If you defended yourself, they'd twist your words. It was a game built so you could never truly win. But the moment you refused to play at all, the entire structure collapsed. And that, chosen ones, is how you've already won without lifting a finger. That's what unsettles them most. They can't smear your name in a space you no longer exist in. They can't manipulate your emotions when you've locked the door to your inner world. They can't drag you into fights when you refuse to step onto their battlefield. And the more they realize this, the more powerless they feel. Their frustration grows because deep down, they know the truth. You've already won by refusing to fight where they wanted you to. Think about it this way. The strongest generals in history didn't win by fighting every battle handed to them. They won by choosing the battlefield wisely. They positioned themselves where the enemy was weakest and where they themselves were strongest. That's exactly what you've done, chosen ones. You've shifted the fight into a space they can't control, a space of silence, strategy, and discipline. Now, while they're still trying to throw the same tired jabs, gossip, subtle digs, emotional games, you've moved on. You're building, growing, leveling up in ways they can't touch. And that infuriates them because every move they make falls flat. They thought they could pull you back down into the mud, but instead they're swinging at shadows, stuck in the same cycle while you've already transcended it. And here's the irony. The harder they try to pull you back, the more obvious it becomes to everyone else that you've outgrown them. People start to notice it. They see the desperation in your enemy's tactics, the hollowness of their attempts. Meanwhile, you remain untouchable, calm, silent, strategic. And that contrast speaks louder than any argument ever could. Chosen ones, this is the truth. When you redefined the battlefield, you redefined the outcome. They can't win a fight that no longer exists. They can't defeat someone who isn't playing their game, and they can't diminish someone who has already risen above their level. You've turned their stage into rubble, their weapons into toys, and their strategies into relics of a game that no longer matters. So let them keep swinging, let them keep shouting, let them keep rehearsing arguments you'll never answer. At the end of the day, they're performing on a stage with no audience, shadow boxing in an arena where the lights have gone out. Meanwhile, you, the chosen one, are already walking into a new arena where the game is yours to design. And that's why they now realize you're not to be messed with. Number 6. Your absence makes their relevance disappear when silence turns them into background noise. The cruelest punishment isn't hate, it's indifference, because indifference erases you without a word. My dear chosen ones, let's speak on one of the most painful truths for those who once thrived on your energy. They're feeling the cold edge of irrelevance. You've been too quiet lately, and while silence might seem like nothing to the outside world, for them it is a slow suffocation. Because when you withdrew, you didn't just create distance, you erased their role in your story, and for people who survive on attention, erasure feels like death. Understand this, some people never cared about love, respect, or genuine connection. What they craved was placement. Placement in your life as the main character, the one who could provoke, the one who could occupy your mind space. Every argument, every explanation, every late-night text exchange, even if filled with conflict, was oxygen to them. Why? Because it reminded them that they still mattered to you, that they could still stir your emotions, that they still had a grip on your focus. But chosen ones, the moment you went silent, you ripped that oxygen away. And suddenly, they weren't the lead in your story anymore. They were reduced to background noise. And let me tell you, that kind of demotion cuts deeper than any words you could ever say. Think about it. For years, they lived in a world where they were certain they mattered in your orbit. They convinced themselves that no matter what happened, they could still pull your attention back whenever they wanted. They believed their drama, their manipulation, their presence would always guarantee them a seat at the table of your emotions. And then one day, just like that, you went quiet. No announcement, no explanation, no final argument, just silence. For you, chosen ones, this was liberation, but for them it was devastation. Because silence has no closure, no last word, no big emotional finale they can dramatize in their head. It's just nothing. And nothing is louder than anything you could have shouted. Nothing is more final than words you never speak. Let's be real here. Irrelevance creeps slowly into most people's lives, like a shadow that gets longer over time. But for them, your silence hit like a brick wall. One day, they were convinced they were central to your life. The next, they were staring at a reality where they didn't matter at all. And that sudden drop from main character to background extra is brutal. Some of you, my chosen ones, might wonder, but if they don't matter anymore, why do they still try to bait me back in? The answer is simple: desperation. They can't accept irrelevance. So they test boundaries, they send subtle jabs, they create loud performances meant to lure your attention back. They may even pretend not to care, but their actions betray them every single time, because every attempt to pull you back is nothing more than a cry for significance, a desperate plea to matter again. But here's what stings them the most. You didn't replace them with someone else. No, that would have been easy for them to rationalize. They could have told themselves, oh, they just moved on to another person. I was still important until then. But that's not the case, is it? You replaced them with peace, with quiet, with the life they thought they could distract you from building. That's the part that slices the deepest, realizing they weren't pushed aside for another player, but simply erased by your decision to invest in yourself. And notice this, you never had to declare it. You never had to sit them down and announce their irrelevance. You never had to scream or slam doors or draft long explanations. You simply stopped investing energy into them. That quiet removal of your attention is more cutting than any dramatic confrontation could ever be. Because it doesn't come from anger. It doesn't come from bitterness. It comes from indifference. And indifference is the sharpest blade of all. Chosen ones, remember this. People who live on drama can handle anger. They can handle shouting. They can even handle conflict. What they can't handle is silence, because silence means you no longer care. And once you stop caring, once you stop reacting, once you stop giving them the energy they used to feed on, they realize the one truth they've feared all along. Without your attention, they are nothing. Now, they have to live with the reality that they've gone from being the center of your focus to being just another name in your past. And nothing terrifies them more than the thought that your peace has replaced them, because peace doesn't argue, peace doesn't fight, Peace doesn't need them. So, chosen ones, carry this truth with you. Your silence has reduced their illusion of importance to dust. Your indifference has turned their world upside down. And your quiet strength has made them face the most chilling realization of all, that they were never as essential as they believed. And that irrelevance, that cold, hard edge of nothingness, is something they'll never escape. Number 7. Your hidden growth terrifies them most. Your evolution is happening off their radar. The most dangerous move is the one they never see coming. My dear chosen ones, listen closely. You've been too quiet lately, and that silence has become the cloak that hides your transformation. They thought they had you mapped out like a city they knew by heart. Every turn predictable, every reaction documented, every move something they could anticipate and prepare for. That belief gave them comfort, even arrogance. They thought they could read you like a book. But now, that book is closed, locked, and rewritten in a language they don't understand. And that's the beauty of it. Your silence is not stillness. Your quiet isn't stagnation. While they've been assuming you've retreated, you've been building. While they've been watching for signs of weakness, you've been cultivating strength. While they've been whispering that you've fallen off, you've been rising in places they can't reach. This is why they feel unsettled, chosen ones, because you're evolving in a realm that exists beyond their line of sight. You see, people like that depend on surveillance. They need to keep you in view, to monitor your steps, to track your progress so they can compare themselves against you. It makes them feel superior if they think they're ahead, or at least equal. But the moment you go off their radar, the illusion of control evaporates. They can't measure you anymore. They can't calculate your pace. They can't strategize against what they can't see. And uncertainty for them is poison. Ask yourself this: why do they feel so uncomfortable not knowing what you're doing? It's because knowledge is their weapon. If they know your moves, they can sabotage them. If they can predict your steps, they can set traps. If they can see your growth, they can try to minimize it or smear it. But in silence, you've stripped them of all their ammunition. They are standing blindfolded while you've been moving 10 steps ahead. My chosen ones, let me paint it for you. Think of a seed underground. At first, no one sees it. No one pays attention to it. They think nothing is happening. But beneath the soil, roots are forming, strength is gathering, life is breaking through in silence. By the time it emerges, it is unstoppable. That is you. Your silence is your soil. Your unseen work is your roots. And when you break the surface, it won't be as the person they thought they knew. It will be as the force they never prepared for. And oh, how it unsettles them. They see glimpses, little flashes that slip through despite your quiet. The way your eyes no longer flinch. The way your voice carries calm authority now. The way you move like someone who knows they no longer need validation. These small signs terrify them more than 1,000 words ever could, because they prove you're not just different, you're becoming untouchable. Here's the hard truth for them: evolution cannot be undone. They can't sabotage what they can't see. They can't block opportunities they don't know exist. They can't stop progress when they don't even realize where it's happening. And every day you work in silence, every day you sharpen yourself behind closed doors, the gap between you and them grows wider. Chosen ones, understand the power of being off their radar. You've stepped into a hidden world, your own hidden world, where their gossip, their envy, their manipulations, their comparisons no longer reach you. You are not just moving forward, you are disappearing from their grasp entirely. And the more they sense that distance, the more powerless they feel. Some of you might be thinking right now, but if they can't see me, won't they forget about me? Won't they think I don't matter anymore? Let me answer you, no. In fact, the less they know, the more they obsess. The less they see, the more they imagine. And trust me, The imagination is always more dramatic, more threatening, and more consuming than reality. Your quiet is not erasing you from their minds, it's engraving you deeper into them. They don't admit it, but every time they notice a shift they can't explain, it gnaws at them. You've become unpredictable, and unpredictability is the ultimate power. It paralyzes them. Should they reach out? Should they attack? Should they wait? They don't know anymore because nothing is certain. And that hesitation, that second guessing, is their downfall. Meanwhile, you continue moving, continue building, continue rising, all unseen, all unstoppable. Your evolution off their radar isn't just progress, it's revolution. A quiet revolution that flips the entire script. Because when the moment comes, and it will, when your growth becomes visible, when your results roar into the world, it will be too late for them to react, too late to catch up, too late to interfere. By the time they realize how far you've come, you'll already be miles beyond their reach. Chosen ones, never doubt the power of your hidden season. Never mistake silence for nothingness. You're not vanishing, you're advancing, you're not gone, you're growing, and the very fact that they can't see it is the reason they can't stop it. That's why lately they've been restless. That's why they've been trying to provoke you, to pull you back into visibility, to drag you into old battles where they once had control. Don't fall for it. They want you back on their radar because only then do they feel safe. Only then do they feel in control. But you've outgrown their radar. You've stepped into a future where they don't get a front row seat. And that, chosen ones, is the ultimate power move. Because when you rise quietly, you don't just change the game. You leave them scrambling in the ruins of a game they can no longer play. Number 8. Their script collapses when you stop playing. You tore up their script and left them lost in the spotlight. When the actor forgets the lines, the play collapses. But when the lead walks off the stage altogether, the whole theater goes dark. My dear chosen ones, this is where the shift gets dangerous for them. For years, maybe even decades, they thought they had you figured out. They had a mental catalogue of your every move, your every reaction, your every weakness. If they threw an insult, they knew you'd defend yourself. If they gave you the silent treatment, they knew you'd chase them down for closure. If they spread a rumor, they knew you'd scramble to clear your name. They had the playbook memorized, and worse, they believed they were the ones who wrote the script of your life. But something happened lately, didn't it? You've been too quiet, too still, too unreadable, and in that silence, you did the one thing they never expected. You tore up the script they built for you. You stopped reciting their lines. You stopped playing your role in their tired little drama. And now, they're left on stage, blinded by the spotlight, fumbling, stammering, unable to keep the show running without you. Chosen ones, you need to understand just how unsettling this is for people who thrive on predictability. Predictability is their power source. If they know how you'll react, they can manipulate you. If they can predict your moves, they can corner you. If they can anticipate your words, they can twist them into weapons. That's how they built control, not because they were stronger, but because they believed they knew you so well. You were their favorite chess piece, the pawn they could move at will. But unpredictability, that terrifies them. Because unpredictability means they can't set traps. It means they can't guarantee outcomes. It means they can't pull the strings they once relied on. Suddenly, every time they try something, an insult, a manipulation, a subtle test, there's hesitation. Will you ignore it? Will you dismantle it? Will you flip it into something they never saw coming? That hesitation is weakness, and every second they hesitate, your power grows. And here's the part that makes this even more powerful. You're not just unpredictable, you're intentional. There's a difference. Unpredictable people act at random, but chosen ones, They choose their moments with precision. You're not reacting out of impulse anymore. You're moving with calculation. That's why they can't read you. That's why they can't trap you. Because when you stopped reacting, you stopped playing defense. And when you stopped playing defense, you started running the entire game. Think about it. When they look at you now, they don't see the open book they once flipped through so casually. They see a closed vault, a locked door, a story they no longer have access to. And in their confusion, they're realizing just how much of their false power depended on your predictability. They weren't in control, you were just predictable. And now that predictability is gone, they're scrambling like a gambler who just lost the dice. Some of you may be wondering, but won't my unpredictability make me look unstable? Won't people think I've changed too much? Listen to me, chosen ones. Your unpredictability isn't chaos. It's mastery. It's not about being random. It's about being so strategic that no one can predict your next move until it's already complete. This isn't recklessness. This is control at its highest form. Remember this, lightning is unpredictable, but it never strikes without purpose. Earthquakes are unpredictable, but they reshape the ground permanently. That's you now. You strike where it matters. You move when it counts, and the world around you cannot prepare for it because your silence hides the storm until it's too late. And oh, how it eats at them, because every time they fail to get a reaction, every time they're left hanging in silence, every time their bait falls into emptiness, they're reminded that the old version of you no longer exists. The version they could provoke, the version they could manipulate, the version they could script. That person is gone. In their place stands someone unreadable, untouchable, chosen. This is the power of your silence, chosen ones. It didn't just unsettle them. It destroyed their entire performance. They're still standing there on the stage, lines rehearsed, tricks prepared, waiting for you to step into your role again. But you never show up. You left the building, and now they're performing to empty seats, desperate for applause that will never come. And here's the dagger in their chest. They can't even replace you, because the role they wrote was written specifically for you. Their whole identity as the powerful one, the dominant one, the one in control, it only existed as long as you played opposite them. Now that you've stopped playing, their identity collapses with it. So don't ever underestimate this, chosen ones. When you stopped being predictable, you stopped being controllable. When you stopped following their script, you forced them to realize the ugly truth. They were never the author of your story. You were. And the pen is back in your hands now. So let them fumble. Let them stumble, let them panic under the weight of not knowing what comes next, because unpredictability isn't just your shield, it's your sword, and with every move you make in silence, you're cutting away the illusion they once lived in. You've been too quiet lately, and in that quiet, you've become something they can't define, can't control, and can't defeat. You're no longer the predictable character in their story. You're the author of your own, and for them, that's the end of the play. Number 9. Curiosity about you has mutated into obsession. Their curiosity has mutated into obsession. The less they know, the more their mind invents, and what they invent about you is far louder than anything you could ever say. My dear chosen ones, let me make this clear. Your silence is not just a void, it is a storm in their head. When you were accessible, when your life was an open book they could skim through at will, they never had to think too hard about you. A glance at your expression, a casual question in passing, a little gossip collected from others, that was enough. Easy, simple, predictable. You were right there in reach, and they fed off the illusion that they had you figured out. But then you went quiet. And when you did, you cut off the lifeline they didn't even realize they were depending on: access. Now, what was once casual curiosity has mutated into something far darker, far more consuming: obsession. And here's the thing about obsession: Chosen ones, it never stays passive. It eats at them. It gnaws at their mind in the silence you've created. At first, they brushed it off, told themselves you'd speak up soon, that the quiet was temporary. But as the days stretched on, their questions multiplied. What are you doing? Where are you going? Who are you with? Why haven't you said anything? The absence of answers became its own poison, dripping into their thoughts until they couldn't ignore it anymore. Now, every little thing about you becomes a clue they're desperate to decode. A change in the way you carry yourself, a subtle shift in your tone, even the smallest sign of progress, a new habit, a new circle of people, a new way you walk into a room, becomes magnified in their eyes. They study your silence like it's a riddle, but every guess they make only makes them hungrier for the truth. And here's what makes it even more powerful. The human mind hates blanks. It will always fill in the missing pieces with stories, and those stories are almost always more dramatic than reality. So now, in their imagination, you're not just moving forward, you're skyrocketing, you're building empires behind closed doors, you're making moves they can't track, you're aligning with people they don't know, you're leveling up in ways they can't see, and because they can't see, their mind invents something even bigger than the truth. This is what silence does. It multiplies their fears, exaggerates their suspicions, and turns the smallest unknown into a mountain in their mind. And every single day that you withhold information, the puzzle grows, the obsession deepens, the questions spread, and suddenly, without even lifting a finger, you've become the one who consumes their thoughts. Chosen ones, do you see the shift here? Once upon a time, they wanted you to revolve around them. They craved your attention, your energy, your reactions. They wanted to be the gravitational pull that dictated your orbit. But now, without even trying, you've flipped the script. They're the ones revolving around you. They're the ones scanning for signs, whispering in circles, asking questions in roundabout ways, just to catch a glimpse of what's going on in your world. They can't admit it openly, but you've become the center of their focus. And let's be real, that burns them. Because deep down, they know this was never supposed to happen. In their fantasy, you were supposed to keep feeding them clues, keep giving them the attention that validated their importance, keep explaining yourself until they were satisfied. But now, without access, they're starving. They can't get their fix of your energy, they can't control the narrative, and worst of all, they can't stop thinking about you. Some of you may wonder, but doesn't this make me seem mysterious? Won't they just lose interest eventually? Let me tell you the truth. Mystery doesn't fade, it multiplies. The less they know, the more they imagine. The more they imagine, the more desperate they become for certainty. And when they can't find certainty, they spiral. That's not weakness on your part, it's control. Not control by force, but control through absence. This is the paradox they can't stand. You're not chasing them, yet they're chasing you. You're not feeding their curiosity, yet it grows stronger by the day. You're not giving them energy, yet somehow you're the one who dominates their thoughts. You've turned the tables without even touching the board. And the most frustrating part for them? They don't know if or when you'll ever break the silence. That not knowing eats at them more than anything else. So let them wonder, chosen ones. Let them sit in the tension of unanswered questions. Let them stew in the silence that reflects back their own obsession. Because every second they spend thinking about you is a second they lose control over their own narrative. They wanted to be the ones living rent-free in your mind, but now it's you who lives rent-free in theirs. And that, right there, is the quiet victory of the chosen. You didn't have to fight. You didn't have to argue. You didn't even have to explain. All you did was step back, and in that step, you became the puzzle they'll never solve, the mystery they'll never unlock, the silence they'll never escape. And so, chosen ones, here we are. You've seen how your silence has shifted the entire game. What they once mistook for retreat has become the very force exposing their weakness. What they thought was distance has turned into discipline, and what they believed was surrender has revealed itself as strategy. The truth is undeniable now. Your quiet is louder than their noise, and every day you stay centered, they realize you are not to be messed with. This is your reminder. You don't need to shout to prove your power. You don't need to explain to validate your choices. You don't need to play their games to win. You've already won by stepping out of reach, by refusing to give them access, and by claiming the strength that only chosen ones can carry. And before we close, let me ask you, did this message resonate with you? Did you feel that spark of recognition, that inner voice saying, yes, this is me, this is exactly what I've been living through? Then stand with us. Support this movement, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments if you're ready to embrace your silence as power. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because silence is not emptiness, it's elevation, and the more of us who rise together, the stronger we all become. Stay sharp, stay steady, chosen ones. Your silence is shaking worlds they thought they controlled.